Allen News Talk Radio. News Talk 1370 WOCA.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 5 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Tuesday morning. We are, for those who don't know it, we've been broadcasting now from the Paddock Mall for, is it 2 months yet? Have we gotten to the 2 month point?
Almost.
Just about 2 months.
Almost.
And one of the things that is kind of surprising to me is how many of the shops in here are actually, they appear to be owned and run by women. Mm-hmm. I think the hairdresser you go to, isn't she
she's
the owner?
The manager,
she's the owner and manager?
Yeah.
Porter Gale is on the phone. She's a branding and marketing expert. She's a producer and director for documentaries airing on PBS, Lifetime, Channel 4 in England, honored by the Directors Guild of America, the Academy of Motion Pictures and Sciences. Boy, this goes on and on. Filmmaker Magazine. She's the recipient of the Changing the Game Award by the Advertising Women of New York, and an entrepreneur herself. We're going to talk about women in business and other business-related topics. Her book is called Your Network is Your Net Worth. So it's applicable to all of us, regardless of our sex. Unlock the hidden power of connections for wealth, success, and happiness in the digital age. And the rise of women entrepreneur surveys is why I was focusing on the women in business part of that intro. Porter Gale, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Pretty good. Thank you for being on the air with us today. Where are you?
I'm actually in San Francisco, so it's still early here.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you for getting up early. And if there's a delay, I apologize for it. There probably is, and it might at times make it seem like we're talking over you, so I didn't want you to think we were being rude. But anyway, thank you for being on the air. Yeah, we this is our second month. We've broadcast. Rob and I have been doing the show 10 years now. And for most of those 10 years, we were at an office complex. Now we're at a shopping mall. And it's amazing how many businesses, and I guess maybe I shouldn't be surprised. This is America after all, right?
Yeah.
A lot of women get into business.
Well, it is. And you know what? This is actually Women in Small Business Month, so it's a great time to talk about this topic.
Do women have a difficult time, maybe compared to men, when it comes to business loans? Is there some kind of a discrimination that we still need to get over?
It's hard to say if there's a discrimination, but the Cox business team did just do a great survey on women in business and entrepreneurship, and they did find that one of the concerns that women have is access to funding. But there's other things that people are working on too to strengthen their ability to start businesses, and that's building a network, finding great mentors, looking for resources to gain more knowledge in their area. So I think that women should realize it's a great time to get into entrepreneurial businesses, and don't get discouraged. Get out there and be passionate.
Yeah, and I think, boy, this almost sounds unfair to say, but it probably is, but it seems like women have a more natural ability, and again, I'm stepping on shaky ground here, to network. I think men have little, I don't know, like they're little, like the good old boys club, where women are more likely to say, come on, and let me show you what I'm selling over here. And am I just being sucked into that stereotype that we've been led to believe all along?
Oh, I think there's probably some truth to that, but what I really encourage people to do, regardless of their gender, is to network based on their passions and their interests, and to really think about networking as long-term, authentic relationships instead of just transactions. I think the old model is, hand out as many business cards as you can, and the new model is think about, how can I build a great team around me? How can I help other people? So it's less self-serving, and it's more about creating a web of great relationships.
Yeah, and I guess typically in the past, too, we've networked with our own types, like radio station people would network with other radio station people. And the reality is, you're not going to buy, another radio station is not going to buy an ad from us. Mm-hmm. But the hairdresser you go to or the garage you go to, they will, so it makes sense to network outside of your circle.
That's right. Look for complementary networks. But the other thing that's interesting when you're just talking about, radio stations is that because of technology, it's much easier for us to find people with like-minded interests. So the phrase 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, I'm sure you have heard of that game in the past.
Yeah, I'm 2 degrees.
You're 2 degrees of Kevin Bacon?
Yeah.
Well, that's no longer an appropriate statement. Now we're really 3 degrees of you. So we could start a new game where we're talking about the connections people have to you, and that's because of technology. We're all closer together.
Right, I believe that. Yeah.
I like the fact that you are speaking about the private sector, because sometimes government and politics get in the way of anybody forming a business because they have to meet certain criteria, whether affirmative action is involved or number of employees, things like that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The Cox Business Survey that was just done, what was really interesting was that women are still very, very optimistic, and that 79% of the people that were surveyed said they haven't been impacted by the government shutdown as of yet. So I think that it's still a great time for people to get out there and start businesses. There's lower barriers to entry of starting your own business. There are more technology options for distribution of products. So I think that it is a time when business can be very beneficial. You can be your own boss, have more work-life balance, and really kind of chart your own course.
Well, come to think of it, we had in our community an organization, Taylor Whittaker, for those local who want to know who I'm talking about, had lots of employees that were laid off when they folded.
Yeah.
And I remember some of the women who had been employees there were starting up their own businesses and coming to the radio station to see if we could help them promote it and buying little advertising campaigns for what they were doing. And I said, good for you. I mean, there was that story, and I bring this up a lot, that woman up in New York who left her Wall Street job and started selling T-shirts down in New Smyrna Beach.
Yeah.
And but she was making less money, but she was happier. Sometimes the entrepreneurial idea is about being free more than about making more money.
Right. And I think that what you just pointed out is really important to think about, that the old model of staying with a company for your entire career is not a model that exists anymore. There's really no job security, and so your best security is building your own skills and building your own confidence, and a lot of that can lead to entrepreneurship, and wonderful things can happen when you least expect it.
So what was the beginnings of the survey? How did it come to be that you guys decided to conduct the survey? Did it achieve what was intended for it to achieve? Were there any surprises in the survey?
Sure. Well, Cox Business, they did this survey because they really wanted to understand kind of a snapshot of what women entrepreneurs are doing today. And they interviewed North American female business owners. And I think that, the surprising thing, I think, is just the great optimism. There's still a lot of people that are very, very positive about starting their own businesses. Another thing that came out was that, people are really trying to support other women business owners. So there's a lot of collaboration that's happening. People are trying to help each other. So when you're talking about the woman that owns the hair salon, she's probably trying to collaborate with other, female-owned businesses in her network. And we need to have more of that to really keep these businesses thriving. The other thing that came out of this survey is that the gap is kind of closing, that there are more and more female business owners that are starting, and that 85% of people, still believe that there are challenges on the traditional route of job opportunities, and so that entrepreneurship can give them more control and more stability in their own career path.
Your background is filled with variety, and you are extremely successful. How does a woman or any person that wants to start up a business, how do you succeed without spreading yourself too thin and then the whole thing falls apart?
Oh, that is a wonderful question. What I really encourage people to do, and in my book I've really charted out a process that's appropriate for both networking and starting a business, but it's to be focused, really figure out what you're trying to achieve, what your business model is, And then importantly, identify the things that might be holding you back. What are the barriers that are keeping you from starting your business? A lot of times what I found after interviewing, hundreds of people is that we create our own barriers. So maybe it's, fear of success. It is thinking that maybe we don't have the right educational background. But try to eliminate those barriers, build a network, look for mentors, and then remember that success doesn't happen overnight. So we need to take small steps. Don't leave before the miracle, and keep at it.
You know what? A little pet peeve of mine is, and this is maybe a local issue, I guess, for us, but Robin and I actually have a business outside of this radio show. We produce music and we've done art, and there's a couple of other things we do. But because I'm in the picture, Robin is never mentioned as a leading business lady in our community. It's almost like the only way you can be recognized as a woman entrepreneur is if there's no man in the picture. And I often thought, well, that's not fair.
Huh.
I mean, in other words, if I was another woman, we'd both be named.
Get you a skirt.
Right.
I don't, and I guess what I'm trying to say is, sometimes you see these like articles that give accolades to the ladies in our community. And I always say, how come they don't name you? And because I know why, because I'm in the picture. But the truth is, I mean, Robin does just as much as I do. And and probably more.
She has a great partner. Yeah, she's lucky she has a partner that recognizes that. And, we need to all kind of create the change in the discussion. And let's get Robin out there talking more about the business.
Yeah, I just jumped on a little soapbox for a minute. I was a little self-serving. Well, it was for Robin, I think. The book is called Your Network is Your Net Worth. And I think we are learning that so much. Let me ask you one thing, though, that I'm wondering about. And maybe Robin was hinting at it with her question. Do we sometimes go overboard? And are we... here's my 2 cents on this. I think networking with like technology like Facebook and Twitter, I think they only go so far. I think the real practical, useful networking is when you're literally in the same room with the people who are involved in this networking stuff. Whether it's a party or whether years ago I worked for a record company up in Toronto, and the saying at the in the record company was that there's more business done around the swimming pool. Believe it or not, they were swimming in Toronto. There's more business done around the swimming pool than in the meeting room. I don't know because you're kind of networking that way, and so. Anyway, so I guess what I'm saying is I'm sorry, I don't mean, I guess what I'm saying is that Facebook is great. It's a great way to kind of get people to know about your networking, but the real network, I think, happens in person.
Well, you know what? I actually agree with you on that the social media can help you start the connections, but the worst thing would be to stay at home all day and be hiding behind a computer. And so I do recommend exactly what you're saying, like get out, find the relevant events. I also am more about quality versus quantity. So if you're going to an event with 100 people, set a goal of having 3 amazing conversations instead of trying to meet, 50 people and have this kind of light conversation. Yeah, so really go for the quality. Look for people that share your passions and values, and really think about it as long-term relationships, not just transactions. And the old model was hand out as many business cards as you could, and maybe eat a cold egg roll or a chicken wing. And then the new model is to think about what you're passionate about and what excites you and what conversations are really inspiring, and find people that share those visions.
How do you know when to change strategies? Because sometimes something works for a while and then it gets old or boring and you don't have any kind of response from the outside world. How do you know when to change and what to change to?
Sure. Well, Robin, that's a great question. I call that pivoting, and that we need to constantly look at our routines to make sure that we are bringing kind of new people into our world. So even small things like, going out for lunch with people, calling people in your network that you haven't been in contact with for some time, creating those interactions where you're keeping people in your network, that's very important. The other thing that I like to do is I call it really more of a lifestyle where you're open to having these conversations, For example, I used to work for an airline, and so I did a lot of flying, and I found I could have the most interesting conversations with people that were sitting next to me on airplanes. So, be open, recognize that today's intern is tomorrow's CEO, so, never judge someone based on their outfit or their age, and really recognize that great connections are all around you.
Porter Gale is our guest. She got up early out in San Francisco to be with us this morning, and her book is called Your Network is Your Net Worth. I love the conversation, and in addition to talking about the book, we're talking about a survey that was done by Cox. It's called the Cox Rise of the Woman Entrepreneur Survey, and it sounds like it's pretty revealing and pretty promising, and that's the good news. And before we went on the air, Porter and the lady who connected her to us, we're asking about live calls, and we do live calls, so let's take one. Good morning. Thank you for being patient with us. You're on the air with Porter Gale.
Good morning. I just find this very interesting. I belong to a Ocala small business networking group here in Ocala, and I am just floored at the number of people. I mean, we meet once a month, and it's like 50 or 60 people and growing every month. And the majority of them are women.
Oh, really? The majority are women. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
And
I bet you find a lot of inspiration from that group, don't you?
Oh, you can't hear her?
No.
Okay. She was saying she bets you find a lot of inspiration from the attendance.
Oh, definitely. I mean, even if they don't have the same interest as you, everybody, you hand out your card to everybody, and that card gets forwarded, and it gets to the person that eventually that has an interest in what you're doing.
Yeah. Okay. Gosh, I'm so sorry you can't hear her. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I think that was Kathy, right?
How important did your survey include physical attributes? Because sometimes we hear about women having to get down to their fighting weight before they are paid attention to.
Really?
Yeah.
The survey did not cover physical attributes, but what it did cover it looked at a lot of people, why they're getting into their own entrepreneurial businesses, and some of it is wanting to spend more time with family, some of it is work-life balance, some of it is pursuing their passion, and then we're also seeing that the gap is starting to close, that the gender bias and the workloads, that people are able to create successful businesses in an entrepreneurship model. So just a lot of great positive stats. And if people want to look at the survey results, Cox Business has posted it on their site, and that's called coxblue.com/SMB Women. So there's a lot of great stats.
Okay. Do you know, I was just looking at your credentials, and you've been doing this for a long time, and you've been doing it since way before there was a Facebook and the other things. One of the things that I've observed in this business here is that advertising is not advertising. In other words, some businesses probably would be better off in print ads, and other ads really are better for radio. I really, truly believe that some people seem to be, not people, but some businesses seem to fare better when you have the announcer talking about it, as opposed to the print ad. And the exact opposite is also true. Is there a study that might guide, especially a young or a newcomer, somebody new to business, say, gosh, I get so many people, because as soon as you sign up for that business license, every newspaper, radio station, TV, everybody who sells advertising is knocking on your door wanting to sell you some.
Yeah.
And you need some.
Yeah.
You just don't know which one's going to work for you. Does anything indicate what's best for the different businesses?
Sure. Well, I think you have to look at your own objectives for the business, but what I would keep in mind is that 92% of people actually will trust a word of mouth recommendation from a friend over any type of advertisement. So, having a great service, having great product, what people are saying about your business, all the referrals that they might be posting, or if they're doing reviews, that's really, really important, because the world is very, very transparent. I think that what you're talking about in terms of radio coverage and announcer coverage, that can be a great endorsement. So it's certainly something that people should think about. and recognize if their target audience is listening to a show, that might be a great potential audience for them.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to, I promise, I'm not trying to blow the horn of radio, but I really think sometimes the old Arthur Godfrey approach, just simply, while you're doing a show, just stop, read an ad live, and then go on with whatever you're doing. I don't know. I just think the live read is probably very effective for the listener anyway.
How does a woman get...
I always encourage...
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Robin.
Go ahead.
What I encourage people to do is think about, am I reaching the right people at the right time? And so, thinking about your audience, what would they be, if you are selling something that is good for the nightclub owner, then you don't want to be advertising when they're out, running around at clubs. And so make sure you're reaching the right people at the right place at the right time.
Businesses have to make sure that they have funds for startup costs, for advertising, things like that. Is it better for a woman or any business owner to have all of these funds in savings before they go out, or should they create a business plan and go to a financial institution to get a business loan?
Sure. I believe that having a smart business plan is critical for the success of an entrepreneur. A lot of businesses are going for a small business loan, looking for some operating costs. They're looking for investors or partners, and that is one step to go as long as you're getting the appropriate rates. The other thing I would say about spending and advertising is that we are in a landscape now where there are a lot more analytics and data that can be explored in terms of effectiveness of spend. So you can start to test and learn more and see what's working, understand what's driving website hits, that type of thing. And so we have a lot less, things are more transparent, and so you can see what's working and what's not working.
Yeah, good advice. And obviously, you've been looking at this for a long time. You're in San Francisco, and we're in the Southeast in Florida. I'm wondering if advertising or networking is universal across the board as far as what works, or would one thing work differently here than what works up there, for example, out where you are?
I think that there are a lot of similarities, just like your caller that talked about a group that she has joined. I think it's important to look at, what are the types of events that are going to help you build a network around your passions. The other thing that I'm seeing a lot of is that there's more online networking where there's access to, educational resources, small business resources. So look both online and offline for things that can support you. Cox Business does have a lot of resources for small businesses, but there's a lot of other things. There's, SCORE is another organization that has a lot of information and resources for women that are trying to start businesses.
Is a business more successful if you have both, if it's brick and mortar and web-based, or can a business be successful one without the other?
Oh, I think it can be, one without the other. In particular, it could be an online without the brick and mortar. I think that the brick and mortar shop still would need to have an online presence now, because so many people are going to the web first to look at referrals, look at reviews, kind of do credibility checks. And so I think you can probably go without the retail brick and mortar, but you probably can't go without the online presence.
Porter, thank you for being on the air with us. I don't want to leave without giving the information to look into this more to our listeners. So let's start with websites. Is there a way we can get the book?
Sure. The book, you can go to portergale.com, and there's a lot of information about the book. It's also available on Amazon. And if you want to find out more resources for businesses, Cox Business has a great site at coxblue.com. And if you go to /SMB Women, you can find out information about the survey. Okay.
And I have portergale.com for you. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And Porter spells her last name, Gale. Well, what a great conversation. Everybody who's a business-minded, and I think we all are, definitely was probably tuning into this one. Porter, thank you for being on the air with us, getting up early, and you're definitely welcome back. It was a great conversation.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure, and good luck. And I'm going to be looking to find out more information about your music business, too.
Oh, okay, great.
Nice.
Great. Thank you so much, Porter.
Take care.
All right, we'll be right back.
Now is the time to take advantage of Florida Credit Union's CD specials. Our 36-month CD comes in at 1.26% APY. A 24-month is working for you at 1.0% APY. And our 12-month at 0.75% APY. All CD rate specials require $10,000 minimum. With friendly service and rates like these, it's not hard to see why Florida Credit Union has your CD options covered. Florida Credit Union, connecting your money to your life. Call 352-237-8222 for more information.
Stay informed on everything going on in the Villages with the Village Spectator newspaper. The Village Spectator is exclusively devoted to the Villages with news, commentary, and more. And yes, they have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask is that you tell them where you heard about them. Call Tom's Picks at 804-1223 and pick up your copy of the Village Spectator today.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
Good credits, bad credits. It's none of our business because we're not an auto dealer. We're not a bank. We're not your mother. We're OcalaForSale.com. Marion County's marketplace for cars, trucks, and SUVs. We've got thousands of sellers standing by to take your call. No middleman. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to OcalaForSale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge. Undercutting, rust proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
Phoenix Promotional Solutions, your company supplier of banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Where you give them approved artwork by noon, the next day by 4 p.m., you pick up your banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404. That's 368-2404. Don't forget, they do vehicle wraps also. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404.
Hi, I'm Yvette, and I'm here to tell you a few things about ABC Fredericks Appliance. They sell not only new, but used guaranteed appliances. When you call ABC Fredericks Appliance, they will provide service on what they sell and any appliances that you own. ABC Fredericks Appliance is located in Bellevue, right over the railroad tracks. Call 352-629-5181. That's 352-629-5181. That's 352-629-5181. ABC Fredericks Appliance.
Ugh, what wrong?
Ugh, need wood for fire.
Ugh, I go get. Ugh, I got wood for fire.
Ugh, what takes so long?
Had to use restroom. Someone not refill toilet paper.
Ugh, my bad. You wash hands?
Ugh, of course. Ugh, what caveman you take me for?
You know, Dan, people who save money by switching to Mike Scott Plumbing sure are happy.
Well, Brittany, how happy are they?
Happier than a caveman with indoor plumbing.
Yep. Get happy. Get Mike Scott Plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it. 237-2888.
Universal Soil Solutions, steps to solving the sinkhole process. Step 1, be skeptical.
I had interviewed about 6 companies before I chose Universal Soil Solutions. Besides being skeptical and asking a ton of questions and educating myself, I popped in at the office.
Step 2, be a tough cookie.
So I've made them all know at the end of every day, I want my property clean. I want it raked, I want it level, I want it clean.
We are your sinkhole solution. Universal Soil Solutions, where integrity meets trust. Call 877-519-2777 for additional information.
The following message is brought to you by the Florida Division of Emergency Management, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
This hurricane season, the most important thing you can do for your family and your business is to develop a hurricane preparedness plan. Florida's Division of Emergency Management's website, floridadisaster.org, now has a planning tool that will help you come up with your plan. All it takes is a few minutes to get a plan to better protect your family and your business when a hurricane threatens. Get a plan. Get yours at floridadisaster.org.
Ocala's information station.